You can tell he is mad as F in this mugshot of him. I love it. I wish they made him wear an orange jumpsuit though.
This is just a striking image to see the former president of the United States, who was just booked in the Fulton County Jail behind us. Questions remained even within his team as of this morning whether or not this photo would ever actually exist. But there you see it, with the watermark, just like every other co-defendant that has come before him. I mean, the former chief of staff, the former mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani, and now to see the mugshot of the former president of the United States.
The wannabe dictator having his mugshot taken and treated like any other criminal. It's awesome.
When I look at that, I can't help but wonder if he practiced that pose. That's a very interesting look that he has there. It makes me sad. It makes me sad to see a former president with a mugshot. As I mentioned earlier.
You shouldn't be sad that a person like Trump is having a mugshot taken and possibly convicted of various crimes. Trump is a criminal.
I take no joy in seeing him booked into the Fulton County Jail. It makes me sad that a former president has conducted himself in such a way that it's warranted.
No, it should make you happy that our justice system will actually go after a former president for their crimes instead of letting them get away with their crimes like they have been in the past.
Not one indictment, not two, not three, but 4 different jurisdictions, and to now be booked into the Fulton County Jail and included in that indictment is the harassment and sheer torture of 2 women who did nothing but sign up to go and help people vote in their communities.
Jake, I mean, to see that image, Trump in his campaign once created a mugshot to use for fundraising material, and now there is actually a mugshot of the former president of the United States.
Yeah, it is a stark and sad image. There it is on the left side of your screen. Fulton County Jail inmate number P011-35809, otherwise known as 45th President of the United States, Donald John Trump. We see on the right side of the screen his Boeing 7.
Well, at least Trump is number one in something. He's the first former president to be indicted 4 different times in 4 different states on 4 different crimes.
57 about to take off from Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta, Georgia, on its way back to Newark, New Jersey. Dana Bash, no doubt the Trump campaign and his supporters will try to make sport and make light of the image on the left side of your screen. But the truth is, the allegations and the conduct described in the indictment, whether or not he is found guilty, whether or not you think it is a strong case, the allegations and the conduct are factually accurate and tragic. And that image is what I think of when I think of those that conduct.
And that is now an image that will be cemented in history. I mean, how many images are there of Donald Trump? He is maybe the most famous person on the planet, but this particular photo with the Fulton County, I mean, you can tell me exactly what this is emblazoned on the corner there. That is going to be iconic. And infamous is probably a better way to say it. And I think that you said that maybe they'll make light of it. Maybe some people will make light of it, but they are going to appropriate it. They are going to embrace it, and they are going to use it as the ultimate example of his entire campaign, which is they're out to get me. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it accurate. It just makes it a very, very potent political.
Yeah, we all know that Trump is paranoid and thinks everybody is out to get him, even though he's one of the biggest former presidential criminals to exist in the United States.
Tool and weapon that he very much intends to use.
Go ahead.
Though with him being, religious, it's no surprise that he's also paranoid. It's like the right wing, they all think that Satan is out to get them, which is nothing but paranoia.
We've already seen Trump's allies, Marjorie Taylor Greene making, they're making their own fake mugshots, using it as a badge of honor. But I mean, I think about the whole pattern of, facts that we're talking about here, which is a former president, office holder.
It's honestly funny how the party of law and order has become the party of supporting criminals because the right wing believes that any laws that they don't like, they're allowed to break. And when there's laws that are against people they hate, they do not believe those people are allowed to break them. That's why these people are fascists. They want laws against POCs, trans people, gay people, and the such, while having no laws for themselves.
Top office holder in this country, trying to hold on to power, trying to do it by any means necessary, doing so in a way that led to multiple criminal charges in multiple jurisdictions. Now that same person is running for president again, and his supporters are treating his arrest as a badge of honor. That's not a good fact pattern, frankly, for the United States of America.
If this was the left wing that tried to take over the government because Trump became president, these people, the right wing, would be calling for the murder of the left wing.
And it is incredibly sad for this country that we have to go down this road. The unfortunate thing is that, other countries go down this road too. This is just our turn to do it, and we've avoided this particular moment.
It's just funny how the right wing believes that they're innocent because they tried to take over the government when, yeah, they would try to kill the left wing if they did the same thing. It shows how little they actually care about the laws.
Because until Trump, there has been a tradition of handing over power when you lose peacefully, and just doing it, and showing up at the White House with the guy coming after you and shaking hands and sitting down and having a tea. And Trump's refusal to do that, to that tradition that's not bound in law but is part of our tradition, is what has led us to this moment.
And we should.
Well, it's what the right wing has been waiting for. They've been waiting for a guy to go against this idea of peacefully handing over power so that they can take over and do their genocide, because that's what the right wing wants. They want to kill off every single person that they dislike or goes against them in some way. So they hope that if they could make Donald Trump king, they could start their genocide.
We should point out there have been numerous disputed elections in the history of this country. In 1876 between Rutherford B. Hayes and Samuel Tilden. In 2000 between Al Gore, George W. Bush. Jamie Gengel, on that note.
None have ever gotten to this point.
No, that's my.
Yeah, and if you notice, all the Democrats have always um, been for relinquishing any power.
Point. I'm agreeing with you. Ultimately, they had their day in court. They lost, and they conceded defeat. Yeah. On that note, I want to Donald Trump on the tarmac on his way home this evening. We did not bring you those comments, but just to tell you one of the things he said, and I want to get your reaction, Jamie Gengel. He said, "It's a very sad day for America." And then he went on to say, we challenged an election. You should be able to challenge an election. And then later in his comments, he said, we did nothing wrong at all. We have every right, every single right to challenge an election that we think is dishonest, that we think is very dishonest. And that's accurate. He has every right to challenge an election. And in fact, Jamie Gengel, as you know, he exercised those rights. And then he went beyond it.
Right.
No, he didn't exercise those rights. What he did was, yeah, he tried to take over the government. Nobody has the right to do that just because they think they lost an election.
He exercised them, and he lost over and over again. 61 out of 62 court cases in battleground states. The Supreme Court declined to hear his case twice. That's a court where he appointed.
He has some friends
A
on the
lot of
court.
justices.
Yeah.
There were 3 recounts in Georgia. And let's just remember his own Attorney General, Bill Barr, on December 1st said that there was no widespread fraud. Chris Krebs, who is in charge of election security, was a Republican, was fired because he said it was the most secure election ever. White House counsel, Republican after Republican. I just want to say about his election denial again today. This is why former Congresswoman Liz Cheney and many other Republicans who have, there weren't so many who stood up to him, but those who did, have said he remains a clear and present danger. When he says this over and over again, it is a campaign slogan, but it also could lead to violence.
And one of the things that I think it's important for us to remember is so many of the witnesses in this indictment, in the Fulton County, Georgia Superior Court, not to mention before the January 6th committee and on, are not just Republicans, not just conservative Republicans. They are Trump-supporting conservative Republicans, like Bill Barr,
right,
like the former White House counsel, Pat Cipollone. You live in Georgia. I don't think that Governor Kemp or Lieutenant Governor Duncan or Secretary of State Raffensperger, I don't think there's a chance in hell that if there had been evidence of fraud and otherwise that would have swung the election to Donald Trump, that they wouldn't have embraced it and stood by Donald Trump, every single one of them.